Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I appreciate you being here. We're going to take a look at what we know tentatively for AP scheduling. I know there's a lot of questions. We're going to talk about all kinds of things, what some of the parameters are, how we went through and created this based on your feedback that you gave us on the survey. And also we wanted to make sure that, yes, thank you, I will do that. I want to make sure that, let's see, sorry, you get your questions answered. I'm going to skip right away to the where you can find this. So the information today will be posted and is posted on our Assessment Administration website. So MMSD.org/assessment. And if you scroll down to the high schools for staff as the resources, and then if you look under advanced placement, that will take you there. This is the landing page for AP testing in Madison. The first on the right is for AP teachers. It'll take you to this page, and this will have the resources on it. So that's where I will be posting the recording after we're done with this. All right, let's dig into this. So we're going to take a look at this process. The agenda for today is that we're going to review the guiding principles that we have used to create this, as well as the College Board options that they are providing for us. I want to clarify parameters around some of those options. So I know that there were several questions about what does the digital at-home testing look like? And so we will review that. Take a look at how we have broken exams into different groups based on the content and what the exam will look like based on College Board information, and what the primary window is for each of those groups. And finally, we're going to take a look at student options, because we want to ensure that students have the best opportunity to take this exam and do well. So given that, here are the principles that we use to kind of guide our thinking around the planning for this. First of all, that students and proctors need to be safe. That was our number one concern. Number two, unlike most years where students have one real opportunity to take the test, there are makeups for extenuating circumstances. We really wanted to provide students the two opportunities to test. The reason being is there's all kinds of issues at play, and we understand that. There are health issues. There may be environmental issues at home if you are taking the digital at-home test, and you're also at the same time trying to take care of siblings. There's also technology issues that may arise. So we're going to take, these were parts of what it includes to in our thoughts, excuse me. We also wanted to make sure that students had a chance to do this on an equitable basis. Again, the ability to focus and to have an environment that's appropriate for testing, that may mean to do an in-person test, even though that we would suggest strongly that a particular exam be done in a digital at-home format. Finally, we work to make sure that we maximize the amount of instructional time that you have with the students, knowing full well that number one, there hasn't been enough time this year, and number two, I don't know how we can please everyone. So we tried to make this as maximize the amount of time as possible. So those are the guiding principles that we use to develop this. Now, the College Board provided us some options. We know that there are in-person exams, regular exams, in early May, the typical window, which is, I'll go back to those dates in just a moment. In-person exams are also going to be, for some exams, in window 2. We have some concerns with that, and we'll talk about that, but we're fully open to that. The digital at-home exams, that are available for students in Windows 2 and 3. First of all, they're not for all exams. As we know, the languages and music theory, for instance, will not have this as an option. We do know that when students are taking the at-home exam, the digital exam, that it is a forward progress only. So they need to complete a question before they move on. There's no going back to review questions, no going back to change answers, etc. It's a one-way test experience. And students must use the College Board app that has not yet been released. So we cannot even say, here's what it's going to look like. This is expected to be released in early April, and we are working with tech services to ensure that this gets highest priority to be pushed out to all students. It'll actually go to all students in high schools, even though they may or may not use that, to allow for the most amount of time for practicing with this. There will be practice exams with that. Also, the at-home digital exams, potentially for some types of exams, would provide difficulty with keyboarding symbols. I'm thinking specifically about calculus AB, calculus BC, physics, and a few others. So we just want to keep that in mind as one of the concerns and considerations. Also, digital at-home exams will start at one single time worldwide. So we are fortunate to have be in the central time zone. And so our exams will start at 11 a.m. for morning exams and 3 p.m. for afternoon exams. Sarah Wollner was on a conference call with someone from Singapore, and their exams started at midnight. I know that doesn't help you, but they're starting it worldwide at one time. Okay. Given all of that, we started by grouping exams together with similar characteristics or conditions with the exams. Group 1, this is our name for it. And so this is when I talk about this, these exams are the world language exams and music theory. These, regardless of which window they're being given in, must be given in person. Group 2, we're roughly naming them STEM content areas. This includes calculus, it includes statistics, it includes all the physics, it includes chemistry. It does not include biology. So when we're talking about group 2, please keep in mind, if you're teaching AP biology, we're specifically talking about these because they do require specific symbols and the ability to write those by hand versus on a keyboard is something to consider. So these could be in person or they could be digital. The third group is all others. So the default, because of safety, because of time, we're suggesting we would really want to see that these would be digital. And we'll talk about when that's going to be in just a moment. So these are the three groups, and there will be a resource that can just clarify exactly which exam is in which group. We'll share with you later. Okay, the windows for the exams. Window 1, which is the typical AP exam, May 3rd through the 17th. That is a little different than what we had originally planned, and I want to just note that there will not be any AP testing on Thursday, May 13th, because that's the end of Ramadan. So those Thursday exams that were initially scheduled there got moved to Friday, Friday's exams to Monday the 17th. All of these are in-person testing. Window 2 is May 18th, so that begins on a Tuesday and goes through the 28th of May. This is a mix of in-person exams. Languages, again, are all in-person, as well as the option for some of the STEM exams, as well as digital exams. So this may be the window that we find most students actually testing in. Window 3, is June 1 through 11, which right away, some of you have already pointed out to us, this is after graduation. And yes, it is. So that may come into play for some students. This window is, again, a mix of in-person only for the languages, the world languages and music theory, and digital versions. So the digital at home for all others will take place in window 3, and that includes what we're calling the STEM exams. All right, some of the constraints that we had to consider when we're trying to lay out this. Things may change between now and then, and we are hoping that they will for the better. But here's the constraints that we need to move forward on, assuming that nothing changes as far as the level of health concerns for in-group testing. We are planning that a maximum of 20 to 25 would be for those that would be tested in person. We are working to get the safety protocols in place of distancing, of masks for everyone, sanitizing the environment, sanitizing the recording devices, everything that is needed for in-person testing would be done in small groups. And we are looking, again, we'll talk about the locations in a moment, but we're trying to focus on keeping the groups small, if possible, even smaller than 20. One of the things that we have not even explored yet is who will be proctoring. Typically, our proctors are retired teachers, and we don't know whether they would be interested in coming back to help us out. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So we also had to consider what locations we could give the tests in. And here's what some of you have made some great suggestions. Why can't we do the West students in small groups at West, the La Follette at La Follette, et cetera? Because MMSD is a multi-school testing site consideration. This is how we roll on a typical year. That's what the College Board expects us to do. This means that you cannot give the same exam in multiple locations. So we have to have everyone who is taking during window 1, the Spanish language and culture exam, they all have to be at the same physical location. Doesn't mean that everyone who's going to test on that content area this year is testing in the same window. So that's why we're going to be talking about how to spread this out. So if fewer students would be at the Alliance Center, et cetera, et cetera. So we really have essentially one location. We are investigating another that is very close to the Alliance Center, and we may have that as a backup site. So one exam might be at the Alliance, one exam might be at another site close by. More information on that, but again, we cannot give an exam in 2 or 3 or 4 different locations, as that is not something that the College Board would permit us to do. Okay, now the testing app. Again, I want to just go back to this, available early in April. We want to get this deployed as quickly as possible, so we are already working with tech services, giving them a heads up. As soon as we know something from the College Board, we will get it to them. And again, as you're well aware, practice tests, et cetera, everything is going to be available on this app. Just to note, again, this will be for those digital at-home exams. Any type of digital exam, whether they actually take it at home or they come in person to us, we will work through those issues, but it is not for smartphones. The testing this year will be only on computers, no smartphones. We're not sure what the technical support will look like. We realized after last year that there were many technical issues, even though people had gotten this practiced ahead of time. When the actual moment came, there were some issues. So we will work to ensure that we have a way to support students as best we can in district first, but it might be a College Board technical support ultimately. Okay, so here's kind of the game plan as where it stands right now. The default, and this is not the end decision, but the default exam where we would like to see everything is the in-person world languages and music theory would be in window 1 at the normal time of the exams. This would provide us the greatest spacing of exams over days and times. So instead of having in window 2, for instance, the world languages and window 3, those are all given on one day. So if you have students who are taking multiple language exams, which we do every year, they would be required to be in 2 places at once, which would be very difficult. By setting up the languages and the music theory in window 1 on their typically announced dates and times, that would provide us the greatest opportunity to spread out students into the greatest number of rooms, as well as to be more attentive and focus on the safety and security of students and proctors and the equipment that is needed for world languages. We'll get into details in a little bit what that might look like. Group 3, the majority of the exams, we would like to say the default is the exam window 2. So gives you a couple more weeks. So this would start May 18th. And there is a schedule there so that we will also make that available in a little bit. We'll take a look at that. But the majority of exams would be given using the digital at-home version. That would provide the maximum safety for all students and everyone involved. It would not work out perfectly for everyone, and we'll talk about what that might look like. Group 2, the STEM group, as we're calling it, probably is the most challenging. I know some of you in the survey had said that, yep, we're good with the window 3, the all digital. We're also going to reach out to students and suggest that maybe there would be some opportunity, especially for certain exams, to begin in window 1. And I know that's not what you want to hear because that takes weeks of instruction time and changes, but let me get through the rest of this and then we can open it up to questions. And I apologize, I'm not able to take questions right now. I know there's a ton of stuff here. That this is all overwhelming, but both Sarah and I are, like as I said before, are willing to stay on and answer questions. And as you think about this, as it soaks in and what does it mean, we are absolutely open to questions from you at any time. Okay, specifically exam group 1, what is the plan? Spanish language and culture has the largest number. So we're talking about approximately 250 students that we will need to safely provide exams for in person. There's no other option. What we're hoping is that we can get a good size of group, a good group of students in window 1, but realizing that there might also be in window 2. We can handle pretty close to 250 students all at once, but that is maximizing the 25 students per room, as we have about 10 rooms that we can use at the Alliant Energy Center. There would be an option to take this in window 2. Again, we'll see if we can, we would like to have the most students in window 1, but we also may have to place a limit on it, given where things are at. Window 1 provides the fewest interactions of students at any time, because in window 1, the only exam that would have students in the building would be Spanish language and culture at that point. If we are given the second window exam, now we're talking about all the languages being in that day. So many more, potentially many more students in the building at that time. I know there's also been a great concern, and I appreciate it, about the digital voice recorders that students use in these exams. And what we have done is we know that we have in the district, in our office, we have we have enough, maybe 270, but just enough for every student taking this exam to have a clean, sanitized, safe handheld digital recorder. One of the things that I don't know yet is how to get students a chance to put their hands on these and practice ahead of time. I would appreciate any insight that you have in sharing that. If you've got an idea that may be helpful to everyone across the district, I would appreciate that. Also, other exams in this group, so French and German and Chinese, etc., would all be in their primary date would be window 1. And again, we would provide options for students to take this in window 2. There is no digital option. And I just want to provide, get that out there that, again, smallest number of students in a place at one time would be in window 1.
In your pod, like coming up with ideas around that too, because it seems like exactly that it has its own chaos.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Can I come back to that? Okay, here's group 3. Again, this is the group that I'm calling all the majority of exams. The default choice would be window 2. This puts it at May 18th through the 28th. This would be something that would be all the digital and at-home version of the exam. The backup to this would be window 3. We are going to provide an option for students if they really believe that they cannot effectively test at their current location, that we would provide an option for in-person testing. However, that comes with the only option for many of these students would then be in window 1. So again, the default choice would be the window 2, allowing them a backup, but we'll take it case by case for every student, and I'll explain that in a moment. This, we believe, is absolutely the safest choice. Again, a need to practice with the app, and we did talk about the start times. One of the things that the College Board has said is that students would need to, just to ensure that they get the best possible chance at ensuring there are no technical issues, they would need to log on approximately 30 minutes ahead of time. So that would be at 10:30 a.m. Our time and 2:30 p.m. our time. Group 2, again, as I said, this is going to be the toughest one. The default for this we're suggesting is window 3, that students have a choice to test in person if they feel more comfortable writing their answers, and then that would make it window 1, simply because the best, again, spreading out the most students. I mean, we're talking, again, in calculus, approximately 400 students total taking the exams for A, B, and BC together. And so we would want to provide a maximum number in window 1. If we overflow that, we have window 2 in person, and then we have the digital version. So this one is going to be a little bit trickier, and I want to work with students and staff to make sure that they understand what the options are, what it would look like, and how to ensure that you are at the exam and showing up for the exam that you signed up for. All right, communication with students and families. So we hope that after we receive feedback from you today, that we are on the right track. I know that it is complex, and I am trying to take this to the bare minimum, and we've been working on a lot of different scenarios, but we want to get information out to students and families in the next week or so. I want to be sure that you, the AP staff, our AP coordinators at the buildings, our assistant principals who support us, have an understanding. You have a chance to get your questions answered, because you will be that point of contact for students and families. And I want to make sure that you have a good understanding of the plan and why we made it the way we did. We're going to connect with every student individually and talking to them about what the choices for each exam is. Again, we would say something along the lines of the default, or what we are expecting you to test is in this window on this date, taking it in this style. So digital versus in person. They would have the option then to request a different testing format or different testing window. If we do not hear back from students, which we have emailed students many times over the years, and many of them do not respond. If we hear no response, students will be given the default test date and version that we have already mentioned. We'll share the final schedule with the students individually via email. We'll also share that with you so that your students, you can say, hey, Tim, did you realize this is the exam date? This is what you didn't respond, so this is what you have. And of course, there are always conditions that come up we will need to be aware of. We also want to provide you with as much information as possible. So we're going to be giving you an information sheet that is specific to your exam. So if you are in group 1, group 2, group 3, and what that would look like. We've also are working on developing an FAQ page on our website. I showed you at the beginning where that was located, and I can share that with everyone once again via email. If you have questions in the next, I know you're going to have questions. When you have questions in the next few days, few hours, please send us an email. I will have on the website my email or the assessment email, our team email posted there. So anyone, students, families, you can ask us questions directly. All right, we're almost finished with this. Here are the resources that we'll put on that page. So again, going to mmsd.org/assessment, you're going to find the recording of today's meeting. I'll have that up tomorrow morning. This PowerPoint, you'll have a tentative schedule listing each subject. So we've created a Google Sheet that will provide you with information about your specific exam. What I'm going to be placing on this page is also frequently asked questions and answers, and then concise information about the schedules. All right, we're going to open up to questions in just a moment, but what I want to do is I would like to share the Google Sheet if I have that up and running.
I put it in the chat.
Did you? Great, thank you. So I'm just going to go to the, again, to the web page and click on the Google Sheet. I will share this, make sure everybody can see that. So this is a document that has across the bottom tabs for each of those 3 groups. In person only, which would be the language exams, digital default exams, which would be the majority of them, and then the special consideration or STEM exams. So within each one of these, we've got some considerations listed at the top. We also have the primary default test date, which window it's in, the format, the starting time, and then what would be a secondary or fallback option. As we solidify where things are located, we'll also put that in here. So this, I hope, will help you with thinking about your specific exams and what that might look like. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and I will stop recording, and then I will open it up for questions.